Namaste. Welcome to the Temple of Kriya Yoga and to our hearts and our homes. And it's so good to see everybody here and to welcome you that are listening and tuning in. My name is Swami Pharananda, and today we are very, very fortunate to be celebrating the Diwali festival here at the temple. And it's important, one of the important festivals for us, because it is bringing in the light. It is something that is a way, in India, what people do is they clean their houses. They end up having food and sharing it with people. They light candles. That's the idea, is bringing the light before the darkness coming in. So today that's what we are going to be celebrating. And we have Swami Nadananda, Katie and Janice Nakayama are going to be our musicians for today, playing beautiful mantras. We have Swami Mahashastrananda that will be giving the beginning opening and the ritual. And I'll have a little noon meditation for you. And then we have Swami Sumitrananda. Helene Kalela is going to be giving us our little talk and play for the day. And we will be having music in between and a little refreshments after. And we really do enjoy seeing you and bringing us the light too. Namaste. Namaste.
Maybe just for 2 minutes.
2 minutes of chanting. Okay. It's Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, which means we're just taking that vibration of Shanti, which means peace. Finding ourselves in that place of peace. We take a few nice breaths. And you can chant it as a way to harmonize yourself with the mantra, but then to also send that expression of peace out, expression of Shanti. Sending it to loved ones, sending it to the world, sending it to the places of such conflict these days.
Namaste. I'd like to welcome you to my heart and to the Temple of Kriya Yoga this afternoon. We're celebrating the Diwali festival, and I think, as Lynn has mentioned, Diwali is it's a Hindu festival, but it's celebrated really throughout the world, in different parts of the world. It's been carried around the world. There's calculations that are made to determine what the day is that Diwali is supposed to be celebrated, and just by coincidence, this year it happens to be Sunday, November 12th. So I'm going to take that as a very good omen. This will be the first time we're doing it here at the temple. Just very quickly, the Diwali festival there's a legend about Diwali that comes from the Ramayana, which is a sacred Hindu text, and it deals with some events that occurred thousands of years ago, where Lord Rama, the incarnation of Vishnu, was banished from the country, and on Diwali it celebrates the day that he and his wife and his brother were allowed back into the kingdom. And so there's a celebration, and Diwali itself, the term itself, has to do with like rows of lights. And so to welcome them back into the kingdom, they set up lights and they put out lights. That's kind of the historical cliff notes. Maybe I'm dating myself of what Diwali is about. But of course, there's a deeper spiritual meaning to Diwali, and it has to do with light. And it has to do with the light of the spirit. We have to use words to try and communicate what it means, because divine light, it's divine light, but it's not like light where you turn a light and the light goes on. There's a much deeper part of it, which is a communication which occurs when the divine light goes on and you're tuned into it. You light up. You ever talk with someone and they're happy, and you look at them and you can see something coming from them. It's not light, but it's light. It's the non-light light. That's what Diwali is about. It's that non-light light that we're coming and communicating with, getting into contact with, and it helps us to light up. In spite of all the difficulties and all the tragedies in our life and the obstacles and all of that, there is something within you that is just bliss. There's a bliss that exists within each of you, within all of us, and that bliss factor can never be eradicated. Not by any pain, not by any temporary happiness, not by anything that can be human-made. It's there forever. The only question is, how do we become aware of it? When do we become aware of it? And that's up to you. And me for me, you for you. The more effort you put into it, the quicker it happens, and the more you become aware of it. And then, having said that, I'm going to do a short ritual. This ritual is, I've taken parts of a ceremony that I've done for many years ago. I used to do it every week. And now we do it just periodically on special occasions. But it's a ceremony which is there to invite the gods. And I would rather say it's to invite the God of the gods. We all have this concept in our head of gods. That's not it. It's the God of the gods. We're inviting them, the big shots, into the ceremony and say, please join us. And so that's what the ceremony is about. And I'm just going to go through the ceremony. I won't go through any verbalizations. As I go through it, you just kind of watch and enjoy it, or hopefully you'll enjoy it. And then we'll end with the Isha mantra, and musicians have generously accepted and said that they would be able to do the mantra. I sprung it on them by surprise. They said, okay, do it. And so they'll help us with the Isha mantra at the end of the ceremony. And please join in. If you know it, join in. If you don't, listen and fake it. Kaya Namaha. Om Gopindaya Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Gana Nam Twa Ganapatim Havimahe. Om Ganapate Ganaha. Om Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Aim Lakshmi Namaha. Om 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 Gana Ganta Ganam Patim Hadamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamasravas Kamam Yesh Hadagam Brahmanam Brahmanasva Anir Shriva Nuti Sida Sadanam Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Tacham Yo Ravi Nihime Gutam Yajnaya Gutam Yajnapate Devi Swasti Rastu Nama Swastir Manu Shivaya Udama Gatu Besha Ajam Sham No Astu Dripate Sha Chaste Sushi Ate Om. Om Tat Purushay Chimahi Mahadevya Dimahi Tamuj Prachadayate. Om Gandvaram Duridasham Vishapushtam Kardashinam Vishwara Sarvanam Bhutanam Tamiho Boy Shriyam Gandvaram Yami Yami. I am Shriyam. Green Chamundaya Vishay Namaha. Antir Jyoti Bahir Jyoti Prachak Jyoti Para Paraha Jyotir Jyoti Swayam Jyotir Jyoracham Jyoti Srivosmayaham Antar Jyoti Bahir Jyoti Prachak Jyoti Para Paraha Jyotir Jyoti Swayam Jyoto Ratham Jyoti Srivosmayaham Antar Jyoti, Bahir Jyoti, Prachak Jyoti, Parahar Jyoti, Jyoti, Swayam Jyoti, Rata, Shiva Swayam. Now I'm chanting the Gayatri mantra. I'll chant the Gayatri mantra 3 times. We'll meditate for a moment and then we'll conclude with the Isha mantra. Om Bhurvubha Swaha Tatsavito Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvubha Swaha Tatsavito Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvubha Swaha Tatsavitam Varnayam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Mantra is not that easy to pick up. It's got a lot of words to it. The main word, though, that you'll hear in the meaning of the mantra, I think is something that can be focused on whether you can catch all the words or not. Purna is a word that means, it's translated as fullness or wholeness, sometimes as perfection. It's a word that's used to describe the that, which is the unknowable that, or the that exists without form, and then the this, which is all of the creation, and that each are whole, each are complete, and that even though the this comes from the that, there's nothing subtracted from the that. We're all in this together. And it also, I think, gives us the knowledge that we participate in that. As you were saying, it's within us, without us, and in all. So it's Om Purnam Araha Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udakshate Purnasya Purnamaya Purnameva Vashishate. It's not easy to get. So just the wholeness Purnam. Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamaraya Purnamevavashishate Om Purnamaya Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamaraya Purnamevavashishate Om Purnamaya Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamaraya Purnamevavashishate
Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Always takes a little bit to get everybody together here. Thank you very much, musicians. Mahashananda. And to all the people that put this together, because it's really, there's so much, as we all do know, when you have a party or a class or a family get-together, there's always a lot of preparation. And if it goes smoothly and everything, people go, oh, well, that's easy, until they have to do it. And I think part of Diwali, what it is that sense of fellowship with family and friends, and really looking for that light that is in us, but also in those around us. It is a real blessing. What I'd like to do today for a little bit is to just sit, if we straighten our spines a little, feel that as the spine straightens, the importance of that is it brings the energy up. This is our Saturn chakra. Our bottom is what we're sitting on, and we try to always raise the energies up. And today we're going to just do a small meditation, and you can just sit and listen if you'd like. And let's close our eyes and begin to follow our breath. So as we inhale and exhale, slowly feeling the body beginning to release as the mind becomes focused on the Ajna chakra, the place in between our eyes, above our forehead, watching the breath. Let's again, inhaling, exhaling, feeling the waves of existence gently flowing in and out of our being. And at that Ajna chakra point, the spot in between our eyes, up above our nose, visualizing a flame, a candle a light shining with each inhalation and exhalation, allowing the light to fill our being as it emanates through our entire body, feeling it in the cells of our being, to the tips of our toes, and out the top of our heads. This is thinking of it as your candle, as your light, celebrating Diwali, bringing that out to all around us, visualizing the light now filling the room, touching each person in the room, going all around the building, the neighborhood, the city, all the universe going up, 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 and feel the lightness of being, the joy that comes into our souls. You can feel it in the heart area as you continue to watch the breath, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling, feeling your hips release, your shoulders release, your face release. Like clear running water, just washing everything from our being. And relaxing. Now there is, as we know, a lot written about light in many cultures, in many religions. And there's also a lot written about as we transition from the light to the darker days. And they're not dark days, they're just, the light is less. That's why it's very important to cultivate that feeling within ourselves. You know, when it comes, particularly here in the Chicago area, those dark days, like I think the sun sets at 4:30 here. If you're fortunate and on another coast or in another area, you have light longer. But now that it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock, you almost feel like, is it time to go to sleep? But there's a reasoning that we begin to have that darkening aspect. And that is the symbolism of the interning of ourselves, of our being, the quiet focusing as we go deeper and deeper into ourselves, because really that's where you find quietness. Quietness is very hard to find outside. If you're fortunate, you may be in a quiet place or a quiet home. But really, to have that candle, say that you have a day that you're a little bit not feeling so well, light the candle. Bring the candle and light it in the darkness. You'll see how wonderful a feeling it is, and it'll brighten up the rooms. Keep that light in the days. Open the drapes. Open yourself. There is one of my favorite Sanskrit from the Vedas, and it says, "Look to this day, for yesterday is already a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope." Look well, therefore, to this day. And they say, such is the salutation of the dawn, the bringing of the light. So we'd like maybe a little bit of music just to contemplate that for a moment. And then we will have Helene Palilas, Swami Pharananda, giving the talk on light.
Just instrumental.
And now we have Helene Palilas and her famous stories. Swami Pharananda.
Sharon's gonna show the drawings that I did. I could get down there, but I'd have a heck of a time getting up. At 83, I think I'm doing okay. Okay. That's a pretty town. Okay. Sharon, you got the drum?
I've got 'em.
You know, almost all the festivals in the winter have candles involved. Even Christmas, it's what lit trees with candles. Probably burned many houses down that way, but candles were very, very important. In Hanukkah, it's also called the Festival of Lights. It's kind of interesting. I didn't realize that Diwali and Hanukkah both use that concept. But when it's real dark during the deep December, there's some bad things, but it's also a wonderful time to meditate. And if you can get outside the city for a little while, you can see the stars. If you're in the city, it's harder to see many stars. But if you go just a little bit out of the city, you see many stars. So it's a time to see the stars. And I wrote, Pharananda used to give tell us some of his poetry, and I always like that. So I'm going to give you one of the stories that I wrote and illustrate it. And Sharon's going to show the illustrations as I give the talk, as the story. It's called The Unicorn and the Cat's Magnificent Journey. There once lived a most unusual unicorn. This special unicorn had 2 wings of silvery feathers, which glowed in the sunlight. His name was Atman, and he had a constant companion, Thomas, a fat gray cat. Everywhere they would roam together. Sometimes they would laugh and play, and sometimes quietly be with one another. The 2 friends would have been content with this life, but for one thing. They had no home of their own. They decided to go in search of a home and started at that very moment, leaping into the night air with Thomas clinging to Atman's back. Into dark space they flew, passing many stars along the way. In a short time, poor Atman began to tire. He had never made such a long journey, and before he saw a big planet surrounded by a glowing ring. Know what planet that is? I bet you do. To land on it, and he were so tired by this time that he was glad to have a ring to land on, sort of like a runway. Thomas and Atman liked this place and thought how lucky to have found a place so quickly. This might be a fine place for a home. As they were talking, they saw a very, very old man approaching. The old man said, "I am Saturn. You are welcome here. Though all travelers must pass through my gates, I'm often lonely and want a company." The old man's voice was low, slow, and soft, and it came from deep inside his body. Atman liked him at once and felt a little sadness at the lines and the wrinkles etched deep within his face. The lines told so many stories that needed no words. Saturn began cleaning up the clutter that lay here and about. It was amazing how swift and strong he was, though his body was bent and lean. He continued to talk with Atman and Thomas, and they learned as he spoke. It was a long time the young unicorn and cat stayed at this quiet place, but at last they knew it was time to leave. They were not home yet. He thanked Saturn for his lessons and love and promised to send his friends to drop by to visit. Away they flew. Atman felt stronger than before he had visited Saturn. He flew faster and farther and loved to feel the air surge through his wings, tickling the downy underfeathers. Thomas had to hold on tight in order not to fall off along the way, Thomas was glad to see a new planet appear. The closer Atman and Thomas got to this new place, the more noise they heard. It sounded as though they had come upon a party. There were many people all around having fun. The two friends were so astounded at these new sights, they landed in a thud. They were smack dab in the middle of an enormous amusement park. A plump, kindly man with laughing eyes hurried over and introduced himself as Jupiter. Asked if they were hurt, the two friends checked themselves over and shook themselves off, not eager to see this new place. Not very eager to see this new place. There was music everywhere and laughter and food. They were so hungry, they started to eat some of everything. They ate so much they could hardly move, and Atman most decidedly had a stomachache. Tommy, who was rather fat cat to begin with, could hardly move. They tried to find a comfortable spot to sleep, but every time they would find just the right spot, the laughter and the noise would shake them awake. In the morning, they knew it was best to leave. They certainly liked Jupiter, but their home must be more quiet and less crowded. They bid Jupiter a fond farewell, and Atman spread his wings to take off. He beat them in the wind to no avail. He had just gained a little too much weight to take off. He and Tommy tried to think of what to do. It was decided that Tommy would give Atman a push from behind, then leap upon his back while he was airborne. The little unicorn spread his wings wide. His heart pounded for fear that his friend would be hurt. His wings were whirring. He strained and strained. Oomph! He was in the air. Whomp! His friend was firmly on his back, and they were off. The air was cool and softly surrounded them. They could see one of the many moons in the black sky. They were silent as they flew, both thinking thoughts of this most extraordinary adventure, and both wondering where it would lead them. They didn't have to wonder long, for a beautiful new planet appeared before them. And surprise, it was a lovely shade of red. The people on this planet moved quickly. You could hardly call it movement. It was more like trotting. Some seemed to be running around. Atman and Tommy jumped when they heard a loud, booming voice above the commotion of people working. Move that hill, dig that hole, move that rock. And then the biggest man either friend had ever appeared. His stride was long and heavy. It seemed to shake the ground on which they stood. He yelled a greeting at the two, saying, "Welcome, I am Mars." As if we didn't know. We can always use more workers to keep the fires going. Grab a shovel. Atman and Tommy hadn't thought of staying that long, but they got the urge to push in and help. It would certainly help to lose the pounds that they had gained from Jupiter. There were fires all around that had to be kept lit. Atman wondered why and asked all around why all the fires were burning. But not one person seemed to know why. But you could hear Mars' voice throughout the planet urging everyone on. Unicorns are not accustomed to warm places, and Atman was no exception. He was beginning to feel a bit weary and felt it was time to resume his journey. They said goodbye to Mars and all the hard-working citizens and jumped into this velvet sky, being pulled along by friendly, gentle winds. The soft breezes and all the hard work made the travelers sleepy. Atman closed his eyes and was instantly in deep sleep, drifting in space like an autumn leaf in the wind. A flock of birds found the two and gently took Atman's wings in their beaks and flew him to the nearest planet. Asleep a long time, Atman awoke to soft, sweet music and the perfume of flowers, and he found his head resting on the loveliest lady's lap that he had ever seen. Everywhere he looked, it was pretty and soft. Girls in light dresses wandered about. The lady who was serving him as a pillow noticed he was awake. She smiled and told him her name was Venus. Gently touching Atman's mane, softly speaking in low tones that he alone could hear, Atman felt a new feeling in his heart, all light and airy. He would follow Venus around for hours, hoping her gentle eyes would look upon him. He forgot his friend Tommy. Tommy called Atman, but his calls fell on unhearing ears, for Atman was in love. The air was so light and caused Tommy to get sick. He became weak and could only sleep. Atman asked Venus to come away with him, for he knew he could stay no longer. Tommy would die. Venus said, "But my love is for all, and you could have as much as you want forever in your heart. Just quiet yourself and look in your heart. I am there." Atman knew that this was true, but felt his heart breaking as he gently took Tommy up and softly flew away. He wished to leave something for Venus as a gift, but he could think of nothing to offer her. Slowly a tear ran down his face, dropping into the palm of Venus. It became a lovely, clear crystal in which Venus forever looked on and saw beauty and remembered Atman. Atman flew slowly now, for he had much to think about. He was sad having to leave Venus, but he was happy to have had a chance to know her. Loving her made him feel love for all things. Tommy seemed to be revived now. They approached a new mountainous planet. There lay mountain after mountain, and Atman had to take care to land safely. As the two wanderers came closer, they were amazed to see that the mountains were made of books. Thin books, fat books, thick books, and some with magnificent drawings in them. They heard a voice echoing throughout. It came from the top of the highest mountain. Atman and Tommy already began to climb. It was difficult. The footing was bad, and as soon as you put your foot down, the books moved as though they were alive. Slowly and with great strength, they reached the top. There they saw a most beautiful man with a voice that matched his beauty. He spoke eloquently and didn't seem to need an audience. He stopped long enough to introduce himself as Mercury. He moved from one subject to the next with equal ease and didn't stop for a minute. It was quite hypnotizing, and Atman and Tommy would find themselves nodding off to sleep, jerking their head awake every time Mercury would raise his voice for emphasis. Both travelers learned much and enjoyed his company, but much to their dismay, Mercury most decidedly gave them a headache. It was time to move, to leave once more. Atman and Tommy tried to say goodbye to Mercury, but he just didn't stop talking for a minute. So they left a thank you note and leaped back into the air to take off. The air was thin, not air like air at all. It made them lightheaded, and their bodies were able to move about so easily. It was fun. Atman and Tommy played games as they flew onward. Atman spied at first a beautiful ball of fire, a planet so magnificent the travelers flew to it at once. Atman felt his body fill with joy as he sped toward the glowing lamp. He saw, as he drew closer, a golden man with hair that looked like a lion's mane. He was sitting quietly. His face was filled with wisdom. Atman was almost at his feet when, boop, he flew into the wall. When he came to his senses, Atman realized he'd flown into a mirror. The mirror reflected the golden beam. Sitting next to a stunned Atman was a silvery lady. It wasn't so much that she was silver, but her pale skin seemed to radiate light. She half smiled and brought Atman and Tommy some water and began to explain. I am the moon, and you see the reflection of my love, the sun. Is he not a beautiful sight? It makes me so happy to look on him. Sometimes he shines less on me, and I'm but a shadow of myself. I think I need a little water. I am so very sad then, but then he shines full on me. I muster up all my energy and blow back. My moods change, so you see. We cannot speak to one another, but there's no need to, for our understanding surpasses words. We are happy to just look upon one another. I'm sorry. Atman's eyes filled with tears. He was remembering Venus and understood the meaning of true love. There was quiet all about, except for the faint tinkle of sweet-sounding bells that made Anand think the springs of rippling water and the light fluttering of butterflies and lunar moths causing the air to play. The lovers sat quietly together, for though they were separated by many miles, they were one. Atman and Tommy felt it was time to leave. It was time to find their own home. They said goodbye to the moon and the sun, and the moon gave them a present wrapped in a silver paper to be opened when they found their new home. They flew off and winged upward and ever upward. Their journey was long, and they spoke a little at first, but grew quiet as the days passed by. Before they knew it, they found themselves in a garden. It seemed as though it appeared from nowhere. There were flowers everywhere. Birds flew and friendly creatures lie about. What a wonderful place! Best of all, they came upon a tiny pond with still waters, and in the center was the most perfect lotus flower they had ever come upon. They talked and decided that this was the place they had been searching for. They eagerly took, They eagerly took the silver box the moon had given them, wondering what gift she had chosen. Gently they lifted the lid, and out came a brilliant light, which quickly surrounded all the abode. And surprise, from the bottom of the box came the most exquisite butterfly. It was lovely to behold. It was made up of every color of the universe, and quickly went from flower to flower. It made Atman and Tommy happy just to look at the thin, fine wings. The journey was over. They had traveled far and wide and met many along the way. It was time to rest now, for Atman and Tommy knew at long last they were at home. Thank you. And besides storytelling, often they did a lot of songs. So there's a wonderful song. I don't know if some of you know it, and our young person may have had it in school. I actually played it on my Alexa. She gives me all my latest records, and it was sung by a group of children called Chicago. It's not the Chicago band, I'm sure, but it was all children, and it's such a beautiful song, but it really tells the story of all the winter festivities, Diwali, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all the festivals really I think, to this song. It is better to light just one little candle than to stumble in the dark. It is far better to light just one little candle All you need's a tiny spark. If we all said a prayer that the world would be free, a wonderful dawn of a new world we'd see. So if everyone lit just one little candle, what a bright world this would be. And I think it is the message of all the things of the darkness. And I have a candle for each of you, but first I would like to do a little blessing and wish. Let's close our eyes, go deep within, take a nice, slow, deep breath. Bring the breath down to the belly. Fill up your lungs. Bring in the air. How good that feels. We are each on a journey to find our home ultimately, and which we will find peace and happiness and joy and light, golden light, which will be with us all the time. It's already in you. It's already on you. Feel the golden light enter in you. And when you might feel a little sadness, it's a good time to light a candle and to just kind of go within to feel the light that's there. It's always there, honest. And when you can, to get out to see the stars. If you can get to a quiet place, try to find a little space where you can see the stars. And may your holiday season and may your new year bring you joy and peace and love and light. Much, much shanti to each and every one. Shanti. And please come up and get a candle. You're welcome. I want to give her the stars. The stars shine.
Really?
May your life be full of stars.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bringer of life.
Oh, thank you. And each of you are bringers of light, and you bring light to me. Here. Here. I didn't see the little penguin at the front. Oh, I love it. You're welcome. Oh, thank you. I hope everybody likes the story. I love writing that story, and I love doing the drawings. Michael, nice. Find some light within it.
May we light one from this candle?
What?
May we light this from this candle?
You can, yeah, but you gotta be careful because we don't want to start a fire. I wish I had brought something to put underneath it.
We're closing
Oh,
mantra.
pass it around this.
We're gonna close with a mantra too. The mantra, the blessing, light on all locusts. Lokaha is all planes of existence. Namastaha. Suki knows sweetness. Avantu. Chant this 7 times. You may have noticed the lady moved us through the whole solar system. And we can think of this mantra as doing that as well, to chant it 7 times. Let's do a call and response for the first line so you can get the gist of it. The first word is Loka, it sounds. Loka. Let's try it. Loka. Samasta. And then one breath for these words too. Sukino Bhavantu. Sukino Bhavantu. You got it. Let's do it 7 times. 3 breaths. Yoga Samasta. Sukino Bhavantu. Yoga Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Yoga Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Yoga Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Yoga Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. One more. Yoga Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu.
Thank you all for joining us. We have a little bit of refreshments if you'd like to partake with us. Thank you for your energies. This really is what makes the Temple of Kriya Yoga the Temple of Kriya Yoga. Thank you so much. Namaste.
It's a harmonious.
It's
just
wonderful.
Yeah, it's like so compact. There's no